I love Super Sentai like the next man. But I will say this, in the early days of Sentai, we came a long way. And if you think I'm lying, check this out right here. Super Sentai have come a long way.
Hey, yo.
What up, YouTube? It's your boy, Fada J. Back like I love something, and I'm glad you're here. Yes, I'm glad you're here. And we're going to check out at Crymony Toku YouTube channel because he gave us a dope history of Super Sentai from the beginning all the way up to the current. So this is going to be a fantastic roller coaster ride. Make sure to check out his channel. His channel is in my description. Make sure to subscribe because he's bringing the pain all the way through. This is going to be a fun one. Watch this from the beginning all the way to the end. It helps me in the algorithm. I'm supposed to quit all this talking, and we about to get into it right here, right now.
For over 50 years, Super Sentai has established its reputation as one of the largest, most creative, and successful
Super
superhero franchises in the world.
Call them Red Rangers.
Throughout multiple eras, Super Sentai has evolved with many different styles, themes, and stories. And today, I'm going to be featuring every single one of these historic milestones.
Super Sentai.
This video features every season of Super Sentai, as well as all of the
let's
important
dwell
films,
into it.
crossovers, and even Western adaptations. So sit back and relax.
Okay.
This is the complete history of Super Sentai.
I got my drink ready. It's the very first one right here.
In 1975, Super Sentai would debut, although the series wouldn't be known by that name just yet. Kicking off the series was Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, translated as Secret Squad 5 Ranger.
Okay.
Created by Shotaro Ishinomori, who also created Kamen Rider, and inspired by the legendary 1972 anime Kagaku Ninja Tai Gatchaman.
Gatchaman, which is Battle of the Planets.
Ran for a massive 84 episodes.
So Kamen Rider and Gatchaman came first. That's dope.
In Go Ranger, a planetary defense organization known as Eagle, or the Earth Guard League, stands against the evil Black Cross Army. After the Black Cross Army destroys many Eagle bases throughout Japan, only 5 members of Eagle remain, and they join together to become Go Ranger. In their battle against the Black Cross Army, the Go Rangers would utilize a variety of different weapons and tools to give themselves the upper hand in battle, and they removed their helmets' visors to produce their individual weapons. They also had motorcycles and an aircraft named Batibloon, a precursor to the mecha that would be featured in later seasons. With a likable cast, colorful suits, and cool pieces of equipment, Go Ranger set the standard for what would become one of the most legendary superhero franchises.
I'm digging the capes too.
World.
Later on in the Super Sentai series, they brought the capes back. I love the capes.
1977 introduced the world to Jaka, Dengeki Tai, a sequel to Go Ranger that was also created by Shotaro Ishinomori, featuring a playing card motif represented by the J, A, K, and Q on their respective helmets, which of course stands for Jack, Ace, King.
Okay, that's what the Jack mean. Okay.
The series would begin with only 4 members present on the team as they take on criminal organization crime before being led by Big One, the first ever White Ranger later in the series.
That White Ranger dope too. You got style, you know?
Due to a lack of popularity,
ain't got a top hat in the cane, man.
Episode count finished at only 35 episodes, making it the shortest season of any official Sentai. Despite the early cancellation of the series, Jaka introduced many tropes and signature aspects of Super Sentai that would go on to be what this iconic franchise would be known for. This was the first series within the franchise to feature transformation devices for the Rangers to Henshin.
Okay.
This was the first series to feature a White Ranger, as I said.
So they were the first ones with morphing devices. Okay.
This was
Pretty
the first
dope.
series to feature a skirt for a female ranger. This is one of only 4 teams to not have the word Sentai in their name, and the first Sentai to air in the Philippines with the name Lucky Aces.
Shout out to the Philippines. Lucky Aces. I love that name. Just the one when I'm not feeling the
1979
wig
was
on the
year of
helmet,
Battle
you know?
Fever J, a team
Little
of
too
international
much.
heroes representing various countries, and the first season to be known officially as Super Sentai.
Ooh, he got that boy
After
is
Toei worked with
jigging. He
Marvel
got the
Comics on the
moves.
Spider-Man Toku series, Battle Fever J
That's
would
dope
also
that they
be
work with
produced by
Marvel.
and even featured characters from Marvel, such as Miss America.
That's dope. I ain't feeling that wig though.
Each ranger on this team is named after various countries throughout the world, and Battle Fever J would help to solidify the Super Sentai formula going forward, with Battle Fever Robo, their giant mecha,
But I
and
like
the
the
first
suit,
giant
though.
robo in Sentai history. Although Battle Fever J wasn't referred to as Super Sentai while on the air, it would later be recognized as the first season of Sentai, and then later on as the third season of Sentai. The origins of
Okay.
the Super Sentai name were pretty messy. Battle Fever J was the first Sentai series to feature a Black Ranger and Orange Ranger. This was also the first series that featured
Okay.
mouths sculpted onto the heroes' helmets.
Interesting.
After a successful third entry into the series, Super Sentai would return again in
Denshi.
1980 with Denshi Sentai Denjiman. This series featured a team of heroes that descended from the people of Denji Star as they battled against the evil Vader clan.
Remind you of Rita, doesn't it?
Featured within the Vader clan was Queen Hedrian, played by one of the most iconic Toku actresses of all time in Machiko Soga, who we'll definitely be talking about more throughout this video.
Okay, dope.
Denji-Man was the first Sentai to have a transforming robo named Daidinjin, something that would go on to become one of Sentai's most well-known characteristics.
Yep.
This series was also the first
The support of
series
the law.
where the monster of the week would grow into a giant to fight the mecha.
Yeah.
This series was also the first season to feature an actual visor on the helmets, while seasons prior to this one used the same material for the visors as the rest of the helmet.
Oh,
This
okay.
was the first time that a Sentai had a device which gave them the ability to henshin anywhere, as before this they could only do it at specific locations.
Oh, okay. Tight. This one right here became big too.
After the success
series
of
right here.
Denji-Man, Toei prototyped various ideas for continuing on with the Denji-Man story. After much
Shout
internal
out to my
discussion,
boy,
Toei decided
Ben
to produce
Dunn
a direct sequel
of
to Denji-Man in
Antarctic
1981
Press.
with the release of Taiyo Sentai Sun Vulcan, featuring the return of Machiko Soga's Queen Hedrian character alongside Hell Saturn, who is a pretty obvious Darth Vader ripoff.
They do the Ryan Vader.
This was the final Sentai series to have a Marvel copyright attached to it, but Marvel would not be directly involved with this production. This
Okay.
was the only official Sentai series with only 3 members.
Man, Marvel
and
was
they
ahead of the
represented
game.
land, air, and sea, respectively. This was the first season to have a combining robo, and this was the only Sentai season with no female rangers. The great Stan Lee was a self-identified Sun Vulcan fan, and he wanted to adapt it into an American show.
Dang,
The
Stan
source
Lee was
material
ahead of the game.
considered too childish and silly by his peers, which made it very difficult to get off the ground, unfortunately.
Dang, Stan Lee could have been with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers first, man. He had that vision. Rest in peace, Stan Lee.
1982 featured a new Sentai representing various ancient civilizations, Dai Sentai Goggle 5, translated as Great Sentai Goggle 5. In Goggle 5, our heroes take on the dark science empire Death Dark, an evil organization responsible for the downfall and destruction of many civilizations throughout history.
Man, they evil. Them suits tight, though.
This show was originally meant to be called Go-Go 5, but that name would be used 17 years later. Goggle 5 was the last season where the Rangers would sport cloth suits featuring scarves, reminiscent of Kamen Rider. 1983 brought us a Sentai season inspired by the game of baseball, Kagaku Sentai Dynaman, or Science Squad Dynaman.
That's tight. Inspired by baseball. Baseball was my sport.
This series was originally conceptualized as a baseball-themed Sentai that would have been named Baseball Sentai V-Leaguer, but clearly it was changed to Dynaman, with more of a science theme. This series also has another unique distinction. Due to the excessive amounts of gunpowder and the prevalence of explosions in the series, fans in Japan would give Dynaman the nickname Kyaku Sentai because Kyaku means gunpowder in Japanese. This is the first Sentai season featuring spandex suits for the team, something that would become synonymous with Sentai and appear in all but 3 of the following
So
seasons.
instead of clock, spend this. Okay.
In 1984, Japan was introduced to
Bioman.
Choichi Bioman, translated as Super Electron Bioman.
And there's some dope henches in this
Hundreds
too.
of years prior to the show, 5 people were showered with bioparticles, granting them power that would be passed down from generation to generation. The power would be lost until the android Peebo brings together 5 descendants to fight against Dr. Man and become Bioman. This season took a lot of risks in regards to tone and format, skewing to a slightly older audience.
And I know it paid off.
This was the first Sentai with 2 female Rangers, and also the first season with a
Oh,
female
that's
Yellow Ranger.
tight.
And this was the only season of Sentai released prior to Zyuranger that would be featured in Power Rangers, as Bioman would be used in a very, very early pilot episode.
Okay.
1985 featured a team of military
mid-80s
personnel
now.
themed around mythological creatures. Dengeki Sentai Changeman. In this series, a team from the Earth Defense Force takes on the Great Star League Gozma in an effort to defend the Earth. After the success of Bioman, Toei tried to recapture the magic, although with a focus toward appealing to both older and younger audiences. Various tropes that had been abandoned by Bioman would return with Changeman, such as the Monster of the Week format.
I love the
The
80s,
original title
man.
of the series was
I
going
love
to
the
be
80s.
Uchi Sentai
Look
Cosmo
that,
Man,
man.
and would have been themed around space. This was the first season with a female White Ranger.
Oh, okay.
1986 was the year of Choshinsei Flashman, or Supernova Flashman. This series featured a team of Rangers who were kidnapped by the reconstructive Experiment Empire mess before being rescued and trained on different planets by an alien race called Flash.
Oh, that's tight.
After returning to Earth years later, they would form Flashman and fight against Mess. But due to what is known as the anti-Flash phenomenon, they would only be able to remain on Earth for 1 year before they would start to take damage. Flashman is notable
I don't care
for being
what
the
you
first
say.
season to ever add a second giant robo in Great Titan.
In the 80s, that was so impressive. The CGI of it all.
1987 saw the release of one of the most popular international releases
Marksman.
in Super Sentai history with Hikari Sentai Mask Man, also known as Light Squad Mask Man.
Oh, that looked dope. I guess that was too
The
80s
series
to
was
translate.
originally conceptualized as
to the
somewhat of a
States.
callback to previous series, with the original suit designs featuring helmet molds that were reminiscent of Battle Fever J. In fact, the look of X1 Mask would keep this aesthetic. Eventually, during pre-production, the project would go in a new direction with a completely fresh theme,
Like
Ki power
Chun-Li.
and auras. Our team would utilize internal aura power and channel this energy into a fight against underground.
Okay,
Empire
cheap
2.
power.
As I
Okay.
mentioned, this series featured X1 Mask, who only appeared in 1 episode, but is widely considered a precursor of the official 6th Rangers that would come later. This
Yeah.
is also the
the
first
Green
season
Ranger.
where each member of the team had their own individual mecha, something that would go on to be a signature element of the Sentai formula.
Oh, that's so tight with the sword, man.
In 1998, Toei released the final
Live
Super Sentai
Man.
show of the Showa era, Shouju Sentai Live Man, translated as Super Beast
Okay, this is
Squad
the last
Live
one of the
This
Showa
was
era.
an animal-themed Sentai and was considered an anniversary season due to Gold Ranger and Battle Fever J not originally
Oh, that's
being
crazy.
recognized as Sentais. Our heroes were gifted students from Academia Island who fight against the armed brain army Volt as Live Man. Assisted by the android Colon, Live Man would add 2 more Rangers to their original 3-man team, being the first season to do so. This season was also the first season to feature a female Blue Ranger, and it was the first season with a Black
Oh.
and Green Ranger on the same team.
Wow. Super Sentai.
1989 brought us a vehicle-themed Sentai in Kosuku Sentai Turbo Ranger, or High Speed Sentai Turbo Ranger, kicking off the Heisei era. This season would start with a continuation of Sentai's 10-year anniversary celebration, where in the very first episode we would see previous teams alongside Turbo Ranger. It's worth noting that this was not the 10th Sentai, but at this time, Go Ranger and Jaka were still not officially recognized as Sentai seasons.
Oh, this looks
In
dope.
Turbo Ranger, a team of
Look
high
at the
schoolers
graphics,
are brought
man.
together by Dr. Dazai and a fairy named Silon to become Turbo Ranger and fight against the 100 Boma tribes. This season sadly had 0 roll calls.
Oh, that's crazy.
In 1990, Super Sentai introduced a team of siblings who work as teachers when they aren't fighting the Zone Empire.
Okay,
The
ain't nothing
Hoshikawa
wrong with the
siblings were
teachers.
the first sibling team in the history of
Shout out to the
Sentai.
teachers.
And in pre-production, this show had the working titles of Vector Man and the hilariously bad Brother Man.
Oh, tight.
1991 saw the introduction of a dynamic
I always
and
wanted to
exciting
watch
bird
this
theme
one,
Sentai
Jetman.
called Chojin Sentai Jetman. After gaining powers via birdonic waves, Jetman would take on the dimensional war party Vyram.
Anything
and this
with, like,
series was famously inspired
birds
by
and-
Kagaku Ninja Taigachaman,
Yeah.
the classic anime that inspired Sentai, featuring a squad of bird-themed heroes.
I love it, man. That's tight. Man, that's tight.
After Five Man failed to achieve the success that Toei had hoped,
That's
Jetman was
crazy.
planned to be the final Sentai in the series. But due to Jetman's success, the Sentai franchise would obviously continue.
Okay,
Jetman
tight. It
would
was
make
successful.
a few changes from the previous seasons, and those changes, along with the unique bird theme, resonated strongly with fans.
I'm telling you, I
When
want
the
to get
season
into
began, The
Jetman.
team was incomplete until recruiting 2 additional members, and this was a first for the series. Additionally, before Jetman, heroes were referred to mostly by their color on the team, but this show featured the heroes being referred to mostly by their names,
Okay.
something quite unusual at the time. Jetman
Setting
also
trends.
borrowed from romantic dramas that were very popular in Japan at the time, even featuring a love triangle that turned out to be one of the most interesting aspects of the story. The series featured Tetra Boy, the first ever third Robo in Sentai. This was also the last time that a core team member dies.
I like the
where
fact that they
after this,
fly.
They were all 6th or extra rangers. This series turned out to be extremely popular and
You
just
could
might
tell
have
it was
saved
dope.
the Super Sentai franchise.
You could tell it was fire. Here you go, the one that
1992
started
was
it
the year of
all.
Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger, themed around prehistoric dinosaurs and other large creatures. This series focuses on a team of ancient warriors from 170 million years ago who henshin into Zyuranger and take on the witch Bandora, played, of course, by the masterful Machiko Soga.
Shout out to her. Rest in peace.
This series is notable for featuring the very first official 6th Ranger in Dragon Ranger, a man named Burai, who is the brother of Geki or Tyranno Ranger, leading to an explosive and impactful story between them, filled with heart-stopping action and a premise that's easy to invest into.
This is the series when I was in the 3rd
This
grade
was
that
the first
blew me
season
away.
themed around dinosaurs,
The
or
American
prehistoric
version.
creatures. This was also the first season to focus on fantasy instead of science fiction, and this was the first season to be given an American adaptation.
Yeah. And it blew the West
As
away.
Power Rangers,
It
you
blew
will
the
have
West
access to
away.
a universe of power and will command a fleet of fighting machines called Zords.
I don't get it.
1993 saw the culmination of Toei and Saban's continuous effort to bring Super Sentai to television in the West with Saban's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Power Rangers would utilize various types of footage from Zyuranger, including henshin footage, mecha footage, and footage from the villains. However, new scenes with American actors would be added. The show would focus on a team of teenagers with attitude who were summoned by Zordon and Alpha 5 to defend the city of Angel Grove from Rita Repulsa and
My
morph
favorite
into the Mighty
Ranger.
Morphin Power Rangers. Power Rangers became an absolute cultural phenomenon in the West and would continue to
Tommy,
spawn
my second
semi-annual
favorite.
releases well into the future. Back in Japan, 1993 was looking great with an epic new season of Super Sentai in the form of Gosei Sentai Dai Ranger. This season utilized some unique themes such as Chinese mythology and kung fu
Yeah.
with some of the most hard-hitting and
I
visually
love how they
dynamic
blend
action
different
that the series
genres
had ever
and
seen
put
before.
it into Super Sentai. I love that.
This show features a team of heroes assembled by Master Kaku because of their high levels of ki, so that they can battle an ancient threat known as the Gorma tribe. This show's mecha and villain footage, as well as Kiba Ranger, were used for Season 2 of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Kiba Ranger was a young boy named
I
Cole,
remember
and
that.
he appeared to grow into an adult when henching.
We saw that in Turbo as well. Power Rangers
Die
Turbo.
Ranger added a more aggressive edge to the series, and fans loved it. After Die Ranger focused on Chinese themes and story elements, Toei would pivot to Japanese themes with the Ninja Sentai.
And this is
Kaku
part of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers as well.
Kaku Ranger featured a unique and charismatic team of ninjas as they would fight against the yokai. Although this show focuses on Japanese themes, it is partially inspired by the famous Chinese book Journey to the West, a story about a varied mix of personalities joining together to go on a journey.
And you can't go wrong with ninjas and Super Sentai. I love it.
Footage from this show was used for Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, and the working title for this show was Ninja Sentai Go Ninja. 1995 brought us Choriki Sentai O Ranger, a season themed around ancient civilizations. In this season, the O Rangers would take on the machine empire Baranoia. This show was the 20th anniversary of Go Ranger, and consequently Toei wanted to have a darker tone that would appeal to older audiences.
Oh.
However, some saddening real-life circumstances occurred, such as a chemical attack in a subway and an earthquake in Kobe that both unfortunately ended the lives
Go
of many
Ranger,
people.
which was
This
Jason.
resulted in a tone shift during the season in response to these events.
Okay.
In the West, this show was adapted into Power Rangers Zeo.
Yeah.
Power Rangers struggled in terms of television ratings, but actually broke records in regards to toy sales.
Oh, wow. And that's what it's all about, is them toy sales. If the toy sales is up,
Also in 1995,
Don't
Super
matter.
Sentai began what would become a tradition with the very first installment of the Versus series of movies in
Okay,
O Ranger
Versus.
Ole vs. Kaku Ranger. This was a non-canon Sentai project in which both teams would team up together to fight a strange new yokai. This film would lay the groundwork
Oh,
for how
that's so
Sentai
tight,
team-up
the
projects
fights.
would work in the future.
that's a dope crossover, too.
1996 saw the release of one of the funniest seasons in the history of Sentai, the vehicle-themed Gekiso Sentai Car Ranger.
In the States, that's Power Rangers Turbo.
Being a parody of Turbo Ranger, Car Ranger leaned heavily into comedy and featured some unique elements that would differentiate this season from others, one of which was a wannabe Sixth Ranger named White Racer. Car Ranger was adapted into Power Rangers Turbo, which even
White
got its
Racer.
own movie in the West. Car Ranger featured a lot of slapstick-type humor and took quite a few chances with the story, delivering a charming and lighthearted season at a time when Japan needed it. With the release of 1997's Dingy Sentai Mega Ranger, the fandom would be
Power
treated
Rangers
to a
in
cool new
space.
show themed around virtual reality, video games, and space, paying homage to Bioman and featuring a team of high school students as they take on Nezarigia. Mega Ranger would feature many high-tech gadgets and advanced technology that had never been seen before.
Oh, man, this takes me back to my childhood, man.
This series also featured holograms on the helmets of each Ranger to denote their ability, and featured the first Silver Ranger in the franchise,
Silver
as well
Ranger
as
was
the
fire.
incredibly cool and evil Neji Ranger.
Oh, those were tight, too. I forgot about them.
This show was adapted into Power Rangers in Space, the final season of the Zordon era of Power Rangers.
TJ
Mega
was
Ranger
dope.
was another dynamic and exciting season of the franchise, and the future of Super Sentai looked brighter than ever. 1998's Super Sentai release was Seiju Sentai Ginga Man. or
That was
Stardust
another
Squad
dope
Ginga
adaptation
Man,
to the States.
featuring a team of warriors.
I've been
who
meaning to
take on the
catch up with
space
that
pirates
more
of
because
Alban.
I watched
Ginga
that
Man
as a
uses
child,
quite a few motifs and themes,
but I never
many
did
of which
finish
are
it, but it was
callbacks
dope.
to the earlier Sentai seasons, such as legendary warriors, knights, and pirates. This was the final Sentai series to air alongside a Metal Hero show, and the final season to feature the word "man" in the title. This was also
like
the
him.
last Sentai series to use
He was a dope
illustrated
Sixth
eye
Ranger.
catches before and after commercials. Gingaman was adapted into Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, and Gingaman was the first Sentai season in which the episodes weren't referred to as episodes, but instead chapters.
Interesting.
1999 brought us a Sentai themed around emergency services in QQ Sentai Go-Go 5. This show featured a team of 5 siblings as they battle against the Saima clan. Being themed around emergency services and rescues, this show featured heart-stopping action and a true sense of danger for our heroes. It was very clear from the first episode that this would be an action and drama-heavy season, but Toei would be sure to add just enough charm to keep things optimistic. This show was adapted into Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, and Go-Go 5 was the last Sentai series to only feature 5 Rangers, with none being added later.
You notice the graphics is improving greatly.
Being the last year
with
of
time,
millennium, the world was obsessed with time, and Japan was no different, leading to the release of
Time
Yurei
Ranger.
Sentai Time Ranger. Asking fans to grasp the infinite future, this show had a time travel theme, and as such, it featured a team of time-traveling soldiers, with 4 of them being from the year 3000,
I love the weapons
as
in
they
this.
take on Don Donero and the Launders. Time Ranger went in bold new directions with the story, unafraid to explore a darker tone, and this season would go down in history as one of the most mature Sentai seasons of all time.
That's dope. Because most of the time, Power Rangers is real light, you know?
This Sentai was adapted into Power Rangers Time Force in the West, and Time Ranger was the first Sentai season to feature the now iconic Super Sentai series logo at the beginning of every episode. This was also the first Sentai season to have a red 6th Ranger, as well as the first season to air alongside a Kamen Rider show, which was Kuga.
Wow.
In 2001, Toei released Hayakuju Sentai Gao Ranger, an animal-themed Sentai. This series followed
I
a group
love
of
the animal
warriors
themes.
as they fight against Org. Being an animal-themed Sentai, Gao Ranger had a wild tone and style that really worked well.
Yeah.
The show would also feature some unique elements that hadn't been seen before. Gao Ranger was the first Sentai to feature auxiliary mecha that can interact and combine with the other mecha featured on the show. This was the first Sentai where the entire team used cell phones to henshin, and this was the first Sentai to have a longer, extended...
But I like the cell
phone
phones aspect. That goes in the Kamen Rider as well with the cell phone aspect.
Gao Ranger was adapted into Power Rangers Wild Force, and this was the first Sentai season to be released on DVD.
I love them ninja suits. I love the ninja stuff, man.
2002 saw the release of another ninja-themed Sentai, in Ninpu Sentai Hurricaneer. This series had a focus on elemental ninjutsu powers and followed the students of a ninja academy as they fight against the group that killed many of their fellow ninja students, the evil space ninja group Jakanja. This series took what worked with Kaku Ranger, but dialed up the action and charm to deliver an incredibly well-balanced and memorable season, complete with a stellar cast and several unique new characters.
I love
that
the
would
designs
further
of this,
differentiate
man.
it from other seasons. We would start with
I'm
3
telling you.
Rangers before adding the insect.
If I ever dropped 1,000 pounds, I would definitely wear those suits.
Cool and entertaining Shurikinger.
I am Ninja of the Ninja, Tenku Ninja, Shugenja.
Oh, that's
Eventually
tight.
adapted into Power Rangers Ninja Storm, this is the first season to feature 2 red and 2 blue Rangers on the same team.
Yeah,
And this
I've
show
never
was
noticed that.
originally planned to be called Dainin Sentai Ninja Man or Great Ninja Squad Ninja Man. Toei would release another Dino-themed season in 2003.
Can't go wrong with them
Akuya
dinos.
Sentai Aba Ranger,
Oh, that suit
following
is
a team of
legendary.
Heroes brought together by their dino guts to fight against the Evolians. The premise of this show was very unique, having to do with a parallel Dino Earth that was created when a meteor struck Earth millions of years ago. Aba Ranger would also introduce the world to one of the
Tommy
coolest
was
and
in that
most
suit, too.
intimidating villains in the history of Sentai that would eventually become an ally and an Aba Ranger himself, Abare Kira. Footage of this show would be used for Power Rangers Dino Thunder, and this was the first season where the only female ranger on the team is a Yellow Ranger.
Interesting.
2004 would see the release of Tokuso Sentai Deca Ranger, featuring a new mystery theme, along with other police elements. Deca Ranger follows a charismatic group of officers from SPD as they take on space criminals
Power
called
Rangers SPD.
alienizers. The word Deca is Japanese
One of the
slang
best
for
theme
detective,
songs
hence
ever,
the
in my
name.
opinion, when it comes to Power Rangers.
Deca Ranger utilized several unique mechanics to help the team solve crimes, including Jasmine's ability to use ESP via touch, as well as Sin standing on his head in order to figure things out.
これは線のシンキングポーズである。
All of the Rangers featured on the show are overflowing with personality, and the likability and charm of the show would keep it popular for years to come. Deca Ranger is also notable for featuring several auxiliary rangers who make limited appearances while henshin. Doggy Kruger, also known as Deca Master, is a dog who serves as the mentor for Deca Ranger. Swan becomes Deca Swan, and we even see Deca Bright, who is Deca Break's superior officer. This series featured the most protagonist rangers ever at the time.
I like that. I like how they had different, like the
Deca
police,
Ranger would be
different
adapted
ranks.
into Power Rangers SPD, and Deca Ranger featured 2 separate outros, both of which are of extremely high quality and very catchy. This season is unique in the fact that there isn't really an evil organization, but rather they tend to fight alienizers who are operating in their own interest. Deca Ranger is also the only Sentai where every main ranger goes by a nickname.
溢れる勇気を魔法に変える。
I always
In
wanted to
2005,
get
Toei
into
would
this
head
show
yet another
for the
bold new
fantasy
direction
aspect
with the
of it.
wizard-inspired Mahou Sentai Magi Ranger. This show would follow the Ozu family as they utilize their magical abilities to fight against Inversia. This season capitalized on Harry Potter mania by utilizing various themes that you would expect from a magical Sentai, such as magic wands, known as Magi-Sticks, cloaks, and the ability to cast wacky and entertaining spells to turn the tide of battle. Magi Ranger was a fun and whimsical take on the Super Sentai formula.
黄色の魔法使いマジイエロー。
Magi Ranger would be adapted into Power Ranger Mystic Force,
Or
and
Mystic
Magi Ranger
Force.
is unique in having the 6th Ranger known as Magi Shine marry a core member of the team in Urara, or Magi Blue. This was the final season to be shot in standard 4:3 aspect ratio, and
I
this was
always
also the
loved that
final
suit
season
right
to
there.
be released on VHS. 2006 saw the Super Sentai franchise enter a new era with Go-Go Sentai Bokenger, the first season to be filmed in 720p HD. The show was an anniversary season and featured a team of adventurers as they hunted for treasure and battled against the negative syndicates.
早く冒険した冒険ブラック
With the word Boken meaning adventure, it was clear that Toei wanted to invoke the same sense of exploration and excitement present in Western projects like Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider.
Oh,
Our
that's
heroes
dope.
would search for powerful artifacts.
I've
or
never
precious,
seen
and
this
the
show
search for
before,
these items
ever.
would often lead our rangers to exotic new locations
Wow.
that gave this show a ton of excitement.
I've never seen this. This wasn't translated to the States. It wasn't adapted.
Bokenger would be adapted into Power Rangers.
Oh, I'm
Operation
wrong.
Overdrive in the West. In addition to the new HD
How did I skip
resolution,
over this
Bokenger
one?
was also notable for having the first 9-piece mecha fusion and a 10-piece mecha fusion.
I don't remember this show. You guys help me out. Was this a good show?
正義の証
Now I remember this one. I love it when they just go back to 3 Rangers.
2007 was
This,
the
I
year
don't
of
know. It's
Shuken
just
Sentai
it's
Geki
more
Ranger,
personal,
an
you know.
incredibly unique kung fu and animal themed season, focusing on key and various aspects.
And I
of
love
Japanese
how it
knowledge.
was different
In this
from the other.
series, our
Ooh,
heroes
that's
would
dope.
utilize their powers to battle against the evil schools of martial arts.
アンブレイカブルボディ
See, I love when they do the martial arts and the ninja aspect.
Geki Ranger had a new tone that was completely unlike anything that preceded it, and even featured a cool new wolf-themed Violet Ranger. This show was adapted into Power Rangers Jungle Fury in the US and was released as a
I
dubbed
think people
version
said
in
Jungle
South
Fury
Korea
was
as
trash,
Power
though.
Rangers
You guys let
Wild
me know.
Experience. This was the first Sentai to not feature belts on the Rangers' suits, and also the last season to only have 5 total Rangers.
Oh, that's a dope henshin.
2008 was a high-octane thrill ride with Engine Sentai Go-Onger, another car-themed Sentai with an eccentric cast, explosive action, and tons of hilarious comedy. This series followed a group of heroes.
I like the
chosen by
comedy, though.
mechanical
The
beings
comedy
called
is good. It don't have to
engines
be
become
serious all the time.
Go-Onger
I want to
and
be
fight against
happy,
the
not
Fire.
sad.
In addition to vehicles, Go Onger also featured an animal motif and incorporated themes like pollution and conservationism. Every element of the show is enhanced by a charismatic cast and a story that's consistently fun and entertaining.
スマイル満開ゴーイエロー
Go yellow.
ドキドキ愉快ゴーグリーン
Go
That's
Onger will
tight.
be adapted into Power Rangers RPM, and this is the first Sentai season to feature 2 Sixth Rangers in Go On Wings, consequently making it the first season with a female Sixth Ranger as well.
I need to watch this series. I've been meaning to watch this series too.
2009 would see the release of a Super Sentai season with a brand new samurai theme.
I love the
and
samurai
Sentai
theme.
Shinkenger. This show follows samurai clan leader.
But I want to see the
Shiba,
Japan
who is
versions.
loyal
I don't want to
retainers
see the
as they hitch
American
into Shinkenger
versions.
and
Not
fight
yet,
against
at least.
the Doshu.
You just miss so
Shinkenger's
much
a
when it comes to the
special
English
place for
version.
itself within the franchise due to it being so different from many of the other seasons. This show would creatively add the lighthearted Sentai formula to a classic Japanese drama, and somehow it worked perfectly.
同じくイエロー花織琴葉
Shinkenger's entertaining formula proved to be extremely successful with fans, with the show's likable cast, well-choreographed action, and traditional Japanese style, making this one of the most popular
Oh, that's
seasons in
tight. I
history.
love the swords,
Shinkenger
everything.
would also be featured in an exciting and memorable crossover with Kamen Rider Decade, a first for
Wow.
both franchises. Shinkenger was adapted into Power Rangers Samurai in the West, and this show famously featured a temporary female Red Ranger in Princess Kaoru.
That's
As
tight.
time has gone on, Shinkenger has cemented itself as a truly legendary entry into the franchise.
星を守るは天使の使命
Man, Super Sentai is amazing. This stuff is amazing,
In
man.
2010, Toei would try to follow up on Shinkenger's success with a brand new angelic Sentai, Intenso Sentai Gosei.
Okay,
The show
angelic.
follows a group of Gosei angels as they fight against
Oh,
the evil spirits, and
wow.
incorporates a playing card theme into the
That's
formula.
tight and that's different.
Although Goseiger never reached the same heights as Shinkenger, this show would still deliver a lot of things that made Sentai popular,
Looks good.
including a charming cast, a lot of exciting action, and a sense of wonder.
母性ブラック
Goseiger was adapted into Power Rangers Megaforce in the West. Goseiger is also unique in the fact that the Red Ranger Alata is not officially recognized as the leader.
Okay.
In fact, there isn't an official leader of this team.
Okay,
This was
wow.
also the first season where all of the Rangers on the team used cards to Henshin, as opposed to just one of the Rangers, as was the case with
They
Magic
use
Shot and
cards.
Magic
Okay.
Ranger. Although Goseiger isn't remembered as well as Shinkenger or some other seasons in the franchise, there was a lot of quality in this series, and it did a good job continuing the legacy of Super Sentai.
Oh, that's a dope suit.
In 2011, the world
Some people
wasn't
were-
ready for the phenomenon known as Kaizoku
People were telling
Sentai
me in the
Gokaiger,
States this
the
wasn't
pirate-themed
good.
anniversary season and one of the most popular Sentai seasons.
You guys
of
let
all
me
time.
know in the comments the
This season
adaptation
follows a
version.
group of charismatic space pirates as they take on the evil space empire Zongyak. This season celebrates the rich history
Oh,
of
he's-
Sentai and
he's
incorporates
smooth.
many elements, characters, and suit designs from previous seasons. In fact, the Gokaigers themselves had the ability to hinge
I just wanna watch all these series, I swear.
by utilizing various Ranger keys.
崩壊レッド
Gokaiger was led by Captain Marvelous, an eccentric anti-hero
That's
with
a
no
dope name.
fear and tons of style and flair. This team is extremely endearing, despite them not always acting like heroes. These Rangers take what they want by force, but defend what they believe in fiercely, and always make a show of things.
豪快イエロー
This season was so popular that Gokaiger would appear in more crossover and team-up projects than any other season in history.
Oh,
And
wow.
it would be adapted into Power Rangers Super Megaforce in the West. This was also the first Sentai season to be released on Blu-ray.
Wow.
2001 also saw the release of the biggest Sentai film of all time in 199 Hero Grey Battle, an explosive and highly entertaining celebration of Super Sentai. This film features 199 heroes from the history of Super Sentai.
That is
And it
impressive.
feels like a climax to the entire franchise. This movie, of course, features a ton of Rangers in costume, but we also see a few unhinged that we haven't seen in a long time. It's excellent fan service, and longtime fans of the franchise will definitely enjoy it. It's something that set
Oh,
this
that
huge
looks
movie
dope.
apart from all the other ones.
Man,
At
look
this
at
point,
that.
it's considered an absolute classic.
I got to go see this.
カイド戦隊ゴーカイジャーはい
The movie.
Toei would continue to ride the wave of Gokaiger's success in 2012 with another huge crossover movie in Gokaiger vs. Gavin. This movie was the company's attempt at introducing Space Sheriff Gavin from the retired Metal Hero series to a new generation.
Wow.
And by teaming up with Gokaiger, they would do just that. This movie sees Gavin attempting to capture the Gokaigers, but eventually he himself becomes captured by a group of villains, and the Gokaigers have to rescue him. This movie heavily leans into the popularity
Meta
of
heroes.
Gokaiger, and there is a staggering amount of fan service here.
That is so dope.
Legendary Toku actor Kinji Oba reprised his role as Gavin, and we even have appearances from his other famous roles as Battle Kenya
Wow.
and Age Blue. And if that wasn't enough, we were even treated to an appearance from the next Sentai series.
I always thought those was fantastic.
2012's official Sentai series was Tokume Sentai Go Busters, a slick new Sentai themed around technology and spies.
Oh, that is dope. That is
The
fire.
series introduced a lot of new concepts, like the Rangers having machine partners and the numerous references to the Western Power Rangers franchise, due to this being the 20th anniversary of Zyuranger, the
Oh,
show
that's
that was
dope.
adapted into the first season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. In this series, our heroes would battle against Faglas. The style of this show was fresh and exciting, and continued the streak of excellent seasons in recent years.
How can you not like that, man?
Go Busters was originally skipped over for a Power Rangers adaptation, but after Hasbro bought the Power Rangers brand, Go Busters would be adapted into Power Rangers Beast Morphers and debut in 2019. This was the first season where the suits are made of leather, and the first season where the team's name is plural. And Go Busters even featured Hiroya Matsumoto as Masato Jin, or Beatbuster, returning to the franchise years after playing Tsubasa Ozu or Magi Yellow in Magi Ranger.
Man, this dude is cool, man. Oh.
Also released in 2012 was a huge new film project to commemorate the 10th anniversary of TV Asahi's Superhero Time, Superhero Taisen, which would focus mostly on Gokaiger, the
That's
Go Busters,
epic.
Kamen Rider Decade, Folze, and Oz. This movie focuses on Captain Marvelous as he seeks to gain the ultimate power in the universe while commanding the Daizangyak fleet. At the same time, Kamen Rider Decade leads Dai Shocker on a campaign to destroy all Sentais. This movie featured a ton of fan service for fans of both Super Sentai and Kamen Rider.
That is
and Marvelous
insane.
vs. Decade would be an absolute treat for fans. In 2012, we also got a hilarious new Sentai spin-off in Hikonin Sentai Akiba Ranger, a parody of the franchise. Being aimed at older fans of the series, Akiba Ranger was crude, creative, and unapologetically unique. This show would feature many elements and characters from the series,
I like the lighthearted
albeit
stuff,
with a
though.
very different tone than what fans were used to. This show is very meta in the way that it focuses on the team's delusions, and it makes it so you oftentimes don't know what's real and what's a delusion. This is the first Sentai
Wow.
where both the Yellow and Blue Rangers are female. It is the shortest Sentai, and it's the first one meant for mature audiences.
Wow.
The show also got a second season, a first for the franchise.
So people like it. And see, that's what I love about Sentai. They not scared to try something new, man. The states
2013 marked the
The
franchise's
states are
third
scared
time
to
of
try
season,
something new.
with Juden Sentai Kyoryuger, the first season to be broadcast in 1080p full HD.
Oh, they look good. Those suits look good. The suits getting better.
Kyoryuger wowed fans
More
with
creative,
energetic
too.
presentation and large cast of likable characters. And speaking of the large cast, there are 11 protagonist rangers in this series, the most ever at the time.
That is a lot. 11? And they look tight, too.
The title of the show is actually a reference to Zyuranger because they basically have the same name but reversed. Juden Sentai Kyoryuger versus Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. This show would be adapted into Power Rangers Dino Charge and Supercharge. Although this series had disappointing viewership numbers, its toy sales were exceptional, and Super Sentai was alive and healthy in 2013.
10 years after.
Also in 2013, we got the first ever 10 years after
Oh,
movie of
that
the
looked
franchise,
dope.
Hurricaneger 10 years after. This takes place 10 years after the show and would catch us up with what the Rangers were up to in 2013.
Wow.
This was fun to see where they are now, including Ikko's new band and Kota being a father now. This was an excellent celebration for fans of Hurricaneger.
We're getting closer to the new
2014
stuff.
Resha Sentai Tokuger, an imaginative and heartfelt Sentai season themed around trains. Tokuger offered fans a lighthearted and fun experience.
This
and
one
it
was a
a
dope one. I hear a
charming
lot of
cast
people
that
talk
fans
about
would
this show.
largely respond well to. Despite this, the TV ratings were once again below Toei's expectations, and this series would be skipped over entirely by Power Rangers in the West.
Wow. Yeah, this didn't come to the States.
This season featured the Rangers' ability to swap colors with each other and featured the first
That's a dope
Orange
idea.
Ranger since Battle Fever J.
Another samurai
In
thing.
2015, Toei introduced what would prove to be one of the least popular seasons in the history of Sentai.
Wow, that's
the
crazy.
Shuriken Sentai Ninja, another ninja-themed season.
Oh, okay, Ninja.
This show is adapted into Power Rangers Ninja Steel
Yeah.
/ Power Rangers
I love the
Super Ninja Steel
cowboy,
West.
the cowboy
And
one
Ninja
that's in
featured
this.
a lot of comedy and lighthearted antics with a focus on ninjas not hiding. But the cast and story unfortunately never connected with fans in the same way as other seasons.
That's crazy. It didn't
After this,
connect.
we were treated to Deca Ranger 10 years after, in which 10 years after the show, after the Rangers have gone their separate paths, the Rangers have to investigate a corrupt head of SPD, as well as the evil Neo Deca Red and Neo Deca Yellow. This was a story that showcased the detective skills of the Rangers and put them in a scenario that's slightly different from the ones we had seen previously.
I love the fights with the gun action.
その手を通して人の心が読み取れるのだ。
Little baby.
Deca Ranger was one of the most successful Super Sentai seasons of all time, and
Wow.
the quality that made it successful would continue with this film.
本能を覚醒。大空の王者。中央イーグル。
2016 saw the release of an animal-themed Sentai with a bit of Minecraft thrown in for good measure. This was Dobutsu Sentai Zhuouzher, a 40th anniversary season. This series followed a group of humans and Jumins, who are animal-like creatures, as
Okay.
they take on the space outlaws' death.
Kind of going back to the Jetman type style.
This season, although somewhat divisive, still saw an uptick in viewership, and the Jumins, cubic theming, and the suit designs made this one of the most unique seasons of all time.
So I didn't really know about this series. Oh, that looks dope. All them suits
In
look fire.
2017, Sentai fans would go on an epic space journey with the biggest and one of the most unique teams in history, Uchu Sentai Q Ranger.
Oh, that looks good. That
Q
looks
Ranger
good.
featured the largest team size in history as they
That
take
is a
on
big
the space
team, though.
drone at Dark Matter. This was one of the most unique seasons of Sentai.
I count
ever,
like 12
and it would have a
members,
larger
12, 13.
international reach than other recent seasons, as Q Ranger would air in Indonesia for the first time since Ginga Man.
Indonesia, okay.
スペースバスターフォーワードソルジャー
Elements of this season would be adapted into Power Rangers Cosmic Fury. This show is notable
Cosmic
for the
Fury.
actress Mao, who previously played Luca Milfi / Gokai Yellow in Gokaiger, returning to the franchise to do the voice of Washi Pink. Q Ranger was set in a universe dominated by the villain faction. It features themes and equipment based on the constellations, and with 12 Rangers featured in the show,
12
this was
Rangers.
an incredibly unique and memorable
That's a big
season.
cast, man. That's great that it did good.
警察戦隊バトレンジャー
Oh, that's tight. Never seen that before. Oh, I've seen this. I've seen
2018
it.
brought us the first Sentai season to feature two opposing teams in the cops and robbers themed Kaito Sentai Lupin Ranger versus Keisatsu Sentai Pat Ranger. This season featured a team of thieves in Lupin Ranger and a team of
That's
cops in
tight.
Pat Ranger as they take on each other.
That's a dope
The
concept.
concept of featuring two teams of Rangers was incredibly unique.
That
on its
is
own.
unique.
This show even had a sixth Ranger referred to as X, who was part of both teams, a first for the franchise.
Wow.
Pat Ranger was the
Playing
first
both
Sentai team
sides.
without a Blue Ranger. This was the first season without an outro song, and this was the last season to date that featured the word Ranger in its title.
Wow. He got to be a big star.
Kicking
He
off
is in all these
2019 was
joints.
a huge four-part miniseries featuring Rangers from throughout the franchise's history in the 4-week continuous special Super Sentai Strongest Battle. This series featured a tournament in which Rangers from Sentai history would battle against each other to have a wish granted. Rangers from different teams would be mixed together to create cool new Ranger combos, and this miniseries was heavily focused on delivering fan service to the audience. This small project was a great intermission between Lupin Ranger.
That's one
versus
of the
Pat
dopest
Ranger
henches I've
and the
ever
next
seen,
main
and it was
Sentai series
fast.
that would follow. Later in 2019, we would see the release of another Dino-themed Sentai and the final season to debut in the Heisei era with Kishiryu Sentai U Soldier. This series returned to the Dino theme, but this time with a much more aggressive look. This show featured the U Soldiers fighting against Druidon. This season of Sentai would be adapted into Power Rangers Dino Fury. U Soldier also featured.
You guys let me know if I need to watch
mixed with
Dino
some
Fury.
fresh new ideas, and this was the first Sentai to feature a Brown Ranger.
Brown Ranger looked pretty cool.
2020 brought us the first Sentai season of the Reiwa era.
I can tell this might be a little silly.
Ranger, a magic, vehicle, and gemstone themed season that would endear itself to the Sentai community. In this series, our heroes battle against Emperor Yodon and the Dark Emperor.
Dang, them
Yodon.
suits look tight though.
This season delivered tons of charm and lighthearted humor.
I could
along with
tell.
emotional moments that added weight to the story. Unfortunately, due to the 2020 pandemic, the tail end of production for this show was chaotic behind the scenes, and production would wrap early at only 45 episodes.
That pandemic messed everything up, man.
Next, we retreated to the 10th anniversary of Gokaiger with 10 Gokaiger. Taking place 10 years after the events of the series, we would see the reunion of the most popular Sentai
I'd like to
team
see
of all
those
time.
reunion
This
shows.
movie featured Captain Marvelous squaring off against tons of classic Rangers, with the stipulation that if he loses, he's going to lose his key. But if he wins all of the other Ranger keys.
Wow. Man, that's
Due to
good
Gokaiger's
stakes. Wow.
insane popularity, 10 Gokaiger was extremely successful and would help to solidify the tradition of having anniversary movies going forward.
Yeah, them anniversary movies is dope. I know they started to do that in the States too. They did it with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
In 2021, Toei brought us Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger, an anniversary season loaded with uniqueness and fan service. This series features a team full of Kikanoids along with a human who becomes Zen Kaiser, as they look like a mashup of previous Sentai characters and take on Toji Tingle.
That's a dope mix.
As an anniversary season, this show is loaded with fan service, and there's tons of references to previous seasons. The Kikanoids are meant to look like various mecha from the series, and Zen Kaiser is himself a mashup of previous Rangers.
Yeah, he looked like a Rangers from the 70s. It looked good though.
The series was originally going to be called Sentai Sentai Sentaiger, but I guess Toei just couldn't pull the trigger on such a hilariously weird title.
That's a funny title.
Zenkaiger isn't remembered as favorably as other seasons within the community, but it did do a good job of paying tribute to the series as a whole.
Kamen Rider.
Additionally, we
That's
got
the first of the
crossover
first.
between Kamen Rider Saber and Zenkaiger, known as Saber and Zenkaiger Superhero Senki, meant to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Kamen Rider and the 45th anniversary of Super Sentai.
Wow. 5 years apart.
This was a huge, explosive celebration of Toei's brand of tokusatsu and one of the largest projects that Super Sentai had ever seen before.
Wow. That's impressive, man. Autumn years, man, are just coming out with bangers.
2022 brought us Avataro Sentai Don Brothers, one of the most unique Sentais of all time due to it being based off of the legend of Momotaro. Don Brothers captivated fans with its high levels of energy and signature style.
漫画のマスター鬼シス
鬼に金棒逃げ足ナンバーワンいなワンダ鳥は剣術ひじめらだ
The Rangers here are based on different animals from the legend, and several of which are portrayed exclusively by CGI, a first for the franchise. Interestingly enough, this show was originally marketed as a sequel to Zenkaiger, something that hadn't happened since Sun Vulcan in 1981. For Don Brothers, Toei was focused on mixing up traditional Ranger roles, with the Pink Ranger being male, and the Rangers have visually unique powers due to the freedom that CGI animation provides. Don Brothers was the first show in the franchise with brothers in the title.
Oh,
2023 was the year of royalty with the regal Osama Sentai King Ogier. This season featured a team of Rangers that are all rulers
if you
of
guys
their
want me to,
kingdoms.
I'm gonna start reacting to Ogre. Ozier.
King Ogier was the very first Sentai season to be themed around insects, and their
Wow.
suits are more armored than in previous seasons. They also featured a half cape, reminiscent of a scarf,
It looks
making them look
good,
somewhat similar to a Kamen Rider. This season also featured the most CGI ever by far, with it being used for nearly every background,
looks
as
good.
well as the mecha and some characters. This show delivered some cool new ideas to the Sentai franchise and was received generally pretty well by the fans, especially in Japan.
If you notice, the adaptations are done in the States.
Next up is Hurakenja de Gozaru Shushuto 20th
It's still going on
a
in
huge
Japan, but
20th
not here.
anniversary project for Hurakenja taking place in the
Hopefully
Edo
somebody in
period.
the States bring this stuff back because it's so dope. They
This
need.
movie
I wish they
focuses
started
heavily on
dubbing
the
these.
predecessors of the Hurakenjers and the Galraigers as they engage in conflict over the protection of Princess Teruhime
That's
and the
tight.
Ascension Stone that she possesses. Eventually, this movie sees Rangers from the Edo period as well as from the modern day crossing over with each other, and it makes for a very interesting take on the Hurricaneger formula. After this, we got the Abba Ranger 20th anniversary movie, The Unforgivable Abare. This takes place 20 years after Abba Ranger, and it places these Rangers into a world that doesn't necessarily view them as heroes, making for a very interesting new take on their story.
I hear a lot of people talking about this one too.
Bakuage Sentai Boom Boom
I hear a lot of
another
people talking about
vehicle-themed
this one.
Sentai. This show delivers a heavy dose of slapstick humor and wackiness, and also features two of the rarest Ranger colors in Sentai history, with Boon Orange and Boon Violet. Boon Boomter delivers a fun, laid-back tone that never takes itself too seriously. Though the series has been somewhat divisive within the community, only time will tell what the legacy of Boom Boomter will be.
It's still going.
2024 also delivered the fun 20th anniversary project of Deca Ranger, with Deca Ranger 20th Fireball Booster. This movie had an exciting new mystery story that fits right into
Fireball
the Deca Ranger
Booster.
universe. We were also treated to an awesome-looking new form for Deca Red called Premier Deca Red, and a satisfying twist that would send the audience home happy. Even after 20 years, Deca Ranger was still hilarious, charming,
That's
and one of the
amazing.
most loved Sentais of all time.
Wow, the most love of all time.
Recently, Kaku Ranger fans were treated to the 30th anniversary project of Kaku Ranger, titled Ninja Sentai.
Man, I
Kaku
love the
Ranger Act
ninja
3,
stuff.
Middle-Age Struggles.
Wow.
This is the first 30th anniversary film of the franchise, and it would see the Rangers reprise their roles from the original series. And to see these classic Rangers reprise their roles was an absolute treat.
That's fire.
Kaku Ranger was the very first Ninja Sentai and is extremely deserving of the 30th anniversary treatment.
Man, talk about fan service.
So after 50 plus years of Super Sentai, this franchise has established itself as an absolutely legendary and groundbreaking collection of stories and characters. Super Sentai has treated us to some awesome looking costumes, sinister and memorable villains, and tons of hilarious moments that put smiles on our faces. We've been introduced to some amazing characters that we'll always remember, and as new fans discover this amazing franchise every day for the first time, the future of Super Sentai looks bright, and the love that the fandom has for Super Sentai is stronger than ever.
I agree.
What are your absolute favorite moments from the history of Super Sentai?
It's too many to
Let me
pick.
know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, it'd mean tons to me if you would smack the out of that like button. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time.
Make sure to subscribe to Acrimony. He dope. That was a fun roller coaster ride right there. Very fun. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Super Sentai been going on for so long. Over 40 years, and they still giving us bangers. They still being creative. They're giving us something new. The states, we got to get it together when it comes to these series, man. We got all this same formula stuff is a no-go. Try something new. Man, just take notes. This is my only gripe with Super Sentai and Kamen Riders and all those joints. Can you guys please, at one day, one time, please dub this stuff? Because the adaptation, sometimes we lose a lot of important dialogue. We miss important characterizations. We just miss it, you know? We miss a lot. So please, if you guys are listening, the creators of Super Sentai, the owners of this stuff, give us the dub versions of these Japanese series. That's all I'm asking. Thank y'all so much. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit this notification bell. Only if you like this video. I appreciate it greatly. And I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Also, if you want this video before it comes out, like it's people that already seen this, either join the memberships or join the Patreon, because those people have already seen this video before you. I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Ninja vanish.
You had the best version of the tape.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, you playing it? Now listen.